Alright then, hello everyone, this is a Lavender Lass. You may also know me as the very awkward vampire, and if you do know me by that title, then it is my honor. Um, I play a lot of Viper, and recently I picked up Raze because I needed to pick a character that was a bit more aggressive than Viper, and surprise surprise, it turned out very well. I really love this character. She is a little bit different than the other duelists in the sense that, well, her abilities deal a lot of damage, to say the least. But the problem with that is that they're also sort of selfish abilities. They don't really help the team that much. However, if you are able to use them properly, you'll be able to get frags and make space for your team. Because remember, that's your job as a duelist, to create space to escort your team into the site to plant the spike. Now, I am going to draw a smiley face with my gun. Let me know if you can see it properly, just to see if the stream quality is okay.
You can see it.
Looks good.
Alright, perfect. So, this class is going to be very bite-sized, it's going to be very short, and if you want to revisit it, it's going to be re-uploaded to the Galorants YouTube channel. So, I'm going to concentrate mostly on movement, but I'm also going to do a little brief introduction into all of Raze's abilities. First, of course, we all know it as the Roomba. It will bounce off and it will detect enemies, and it will deal a ton of damage if they actually let it explode in their face. That, more often than not, doesn't happen though. So it's better to use your Roomba either as for information or to use it to repick with it. If I were to push with my Roomba, the enemy might be aiming at the Roomba and not at me, and thus I will be able to push like that. If, for example, I wanted to take control of this part right here on top, or say lamps in bind, I can throw my Pumbaa there, and the Pumbaa will take care of it. The satchels. Well, the satchels, we will talk about them in a little bit, once we're going into the movement, which is like the center of this class. The grenade. It will throw in an arc, of course. It will explode after some time. Contrary to, say, Yoru's blind, it doesn't have to bounce off anything. If you throw it off into the air, it will explode in the air, and it will divide itself into 4 smaller grenades that, although smaller, deal just as much damage. So it is a really deadly ability. It is perfect for clearing corners. The amount of times I have killed people because they just stay in this corner and I just throw a grenade at them is just a lot. And you get another one once you kill 2 people. So that's pretty cool. Now, the ultimate, well, I think we are all familiar with Raze's ultimate.
Here comes the party! Already.
It explodes, it deals a freaking ton of damage. However, the area of the explosion is not as big as one would think. At least the area of the damaging explosion is not as big as you would think. So you have to learn how to use it proper, but don't worry, I'll teach you about it in a little bit. Now, there's something important you need to know about the Raze. Jet can dash every time she gets 2 kills. Reyna can dismiss a couple of times, or infinite times if she is on her ultimate. Raze, however, well, she doesn't get a satchel when she kills 2 people. She gets a grenade. Meaning that if you are going to use your satchels for movement, you really have to make them count. They are $200 each. So you have to make sure that you use those $400 very effectively. So, first rule of playing Raze properly, and this is not a joke, it is something you may not be expecting, but I am very serious about this. You cannot, or maybe more appropriately, it is way harder to play Raze if you play with the default controls. If you play with the default controls, it's going to be so hard to move using your satchels, because the button to throw your satchel is so close to your buttons for movement that your fingers are going to get tangled a lot, unless, I don't know, maybe you're a pianist, which is a very good thing. If any of you is a pianist, that's awesome. I love instruments. But that's not the point. As you can see on my HUD, I have my satchels and my grenade bound to my mouse buttons, but you don't necessarily have to have a mouse with more buttons to use Raze properly. You could simply bind the satchels to another button, maybe, I don't know, V, because you can reach it with your thumb instead of having to use the fingers that you use for movement. Now, that is rule number one. Once you have found a button that is comfortable for you to use quickly while also moving your character with WASD, you need to learn about the basics of movement in Valorant. So, bunny hopping. Bunny hopping is where you jump continuously so that you don't lose momentum. You can keep this momentum by going from side to side. If, for example, I curve my mouse to the right while pressing W and D, I will curve my character while not losing any momentum. And I could do it to the other side as well, just of course with the letter A. This is very, very important to learn with Raze, because the principle to move with your satchels is very much like that. Now, if you have trouble getting the timing right with the jumps, because you have to jump in perfect timing to keep your momentum, it's okay. You can. A lot of people do this. I don't, but a lot of people bind their jump to the mouse wheel down, because that pretty much removes any kind of human error, because it will just spam jump infinitely and your character will just jump in perfect sync. Now, let's actually move on to the satchels now that we know this.
Satchel out.
The satchel. It was nerfed pretty much at the beginning of the game because it used to deal a lot of damage and you could just spam it
Satchel out.
and kill someone. Now, they are so weak they're pretty much only used for the movement. The range of the explosion for you to move properly is more or less the size of your jump. So,
Satchel out.
like this.
Satchel out.
If I were to jump on top of it, that is the range of the explosion. Once you know this, you need to know that, of course, if you were to make the satchel explode while you are higher on the jump, then you get more height. But if you were to explode it right at the end of your jump, you will get more speed. Not as much height though. So, think, let's say there is an imaginary measurement of speed, right? Let's say that Raze moves at 2 of that speed. The satchel will add +4 to that speed.
Satchel out.
And so, if I were to use 2 satchels, I would be adding +8 to that speed.
Satchel out. Satchel out.
Your ultimate also can boost you, but only for, I would say, around +2.
Here comes the party.
And it will only boost you if you shoot it in the opposite direction that you want to go at. This might not look very useful, and true, it isn't in a lot of scenarios, but it is in some. The most known one is to use a triple boost. This is when you not only use your satchels for boosting your speed, but you also use your ultimate, and I'll teach you how to do that in a while.
Satchel out. Here comes the party. My ult ready.
But you can also use it in very niche scenarios. For example,
Here comes the party.
see, I got here, and I only used my ultimate to get here. And yes, I have used this. It's very niche, but every bit of information can help you win a game. Now, let's combine what we know right now.
Satchel out.
So, what are the rules? Bunny hopping. The range of the explosion is more or less the jump of Raze.
Satchel out. Satchel out.
And you can move from side to side using the satchels. Now,
Satchel
with one satchel, it's good. It's fairly easy to do, and I encourage you to try with just one to begin with. Once you are able to jump with one comfortably, try with 2. In order to use the second one, you will have to be looking directly downwards, throw it and pretty much immediately detonate it.
Satchel out. Satchel out.
This can help you do things like this, something I do a lot in this map.
Satchel out. Satchel out.
I get here and whoever is holding here is dead. They pretty much never expect you to do this. So it's pretty cool. I really like it. Another very important thing you need to know about Raze movement is, do I have enough mouse space to do this properly? And a good way, I would say, to measure this is to see if you can do this jump. Say, for example, that someone is holding you from over there and you're here as Raze, right? One thing that you can do that I really like a lot is this.
Satchel out. Here comes the party! My ult's ready.
See? And now I am here, and the people here don't expect it. And I didn't even need to use my rocket for the third boost, I just used it to kill the people here. But it is also a very good way to measure if you have enough mouse movement, because you essentially have to do like a 360, because first you're looking like here, well, like a 180, right? You're looking in this direction, and by the end of it, when you are here at heaven, you're looking the other way. So, if you are not able to comfortably do that, maybe you should either get a bigger mouse pace, or you should experiment with higher sensitivity. Now, some other things that you can do include, for example, you know how sometimes people just rush from here, from this point on A. You can, let's say...
Satchel out. Satchel out.
And now you're here, and you kill the person right here, right? Or, even better...
Satchel out. Here comes the party! Ready.
And you end up here. You kill the person that was pushing, and now you end up in heaven, and the people don't expect it. Now, all of this, to be completely honest with you, does require quite a bit of practice. But don't worry, just begin with the basics. Bunny hopping, no satchels, no anything. Then you add a satchel, you move from side to side, then you add another satchel.
Satchel out.
And there you go, slowly, bit by bit, and I promise you that you will get it. Now, the most important thing of movement with Raze, the rocket combo. You need to know the combo proper. Raze was nerfed, also right at the beginning of the game. See, when you use the ultimate, it actually takes a little bit of time for it to arm, and then for you to be able to shoot it.
My ult's ready.
Look at the animation. It's like the rocket opens, and then you can shoot it.
Here comes the party! Ready.
But what if I told you there is a way to skip that animation entirely? Say, this is the way the combo looks if not done properly. You will see that the animation is the same. The rocket opens, it takes a while, and then I shoot. Again, I'm going to demonstrate how not to do it.
Satchel out. Satchel. Here comes the party! My ult's ready.
What did I do there? I used my rocket at the end of my jump. I used both satchels, and then I used the rocket. That is not what you want to do. The proper way to do it, and you might want to note this down because it does require some memorization, is you jump, you detonate your first satchel, then you use your ult, and then you detonate the second satchel.
Here comes the party!
And as you can see, the rocket didn't open at all. The satchel explosion skipped that animation completely. Let's demonstrate again. First wrong, which is using the rocket at the end, and then doing it properly.
Satchel out. Satchel. Here comes the party! My ult's ready.
And now properly.
Satchel out. Here comes the party! My ult's ready.
Once you have mastered that, you can do so many things that 90% of Raze players are not able to do. Once you do that, it's not like you are already the movement with Raze, the movement master with Raze. No, it will still take some time. But you will be able to do things like this, which is mostly straightforward movement, right?
Satchel out. Here comes the party! My ult's ready.
And you just kill the people that are there. In fact, I would recommend practicing that motion because it's not that hard. You don't really have to move from side to side that much. You just go in a straight line from there all the way to here and you shoot the rocket here. Lastly, to finish this bite-sized session, if you are a show-off, like me, what can I say, I'm a vampire, you can also do a 360 mid-jump.
Satchel out. Here comes the party! My ult's ready.
Okay, that didn't go properly, but let's try again.
Satchel out. Here comes the party! My ult's ready.
Or you can do it also at the beginning of the jump, which in my opinion looks even more sick.
Satchel out. Here comes the party! My ult's ready.
Just remember, Raze is a very, very explosive character. But you need to know how to use the satchels. You need to make sure those $400 are worth it. And trust me, they are if you know how to use them. Just take a bit more practice.